am a noob, like many others in the room, in terms of these presentations. I think you'll have heard from my business partner, Adam, a few times. I'm actually the brains behind the operation, so it's about time that I actually got my moment. He's more the looks. Let's be fair, he's probably both. But me, I'm commercial director, 20 years involved in MarTech. I've got a real passion for good uses of data and personalisation, segmentation, but only when it generates money. It's all about the commercialisation for me. So yeah, quick bit about the company. I know a lot of you know about Force 24. We're founded in 2010. We're the fastest growing UK marketing automation company. We're proud to have a 98%, 98.2% retention rate. A big part of that is because of our free unlimited training and support for life. So with Force, it's very much about our technology, but also our people and the support that we offer. We've raised 6.3 million over the last couple of years, and all of that investment is being poured into our product and into our services teams to improve the client experience. We've been with RDLC, it's 4 years, it's longer than that. I mean, it's 4 years plus the pandemic, I think. Recruitment has become our biggest sector by a long way. I think when we first met Gigi, we had 2 recruitment businesses we were working with, and in no time he really launched us, and now it's our biggest sector by a long way. We've got 120 recruitment clients that we're working with. And we integrate with a lot of your favourite apps, obviously Vincherry being one of those. We integrate with all the major CRMs. A lot of them are in the room today. And this is absolutely key for us with marketing automation, that we feel that the campaign work should be done in an automation platform outside CRM, but that flow, two-way flow of information is absolutely critical, so that when we see engagement, when we see opportunities, we can pass those into the CRM, which is the single source of truth for the consultants to pick up and work on those opportunities. So what I'll go into a bit is the role of email marketing and automation for recruitment, understanding the role that it plays in your strategy, the tech stack ecosystem of today, and then where we see it tomorrow in terms of the MarTech stack. So first of all, where do we fit into the jigsaw? So Force 24 is a tool for marketing rather than consultants. It's a really important distinction to make here. So whether we have marketers in our business, whether we're outsourcing it, it's very much around supporting marketing, empowering marketeers to support then the consultants. So where consultants are obviously focusing on individuals, the one-to-one communications and all the automation platforms around that, making that more efficient, we're much more around taking lists and building out segments and personalised journey to those lists so we can cover much more ground. And it's all about, for us, getting those great data sets that we might have in our business, segmenting them, taking external data sets where we've got good triggered data, and using those to try and uncover those strong opportunities where we'll get those multi-hire contracts, those that really reduce cost per desk and move the needle for recruitment businesses. So this is a quote from Gigi, which I use quite a lot, but always reference you. LinkedIn prospecting is vanity, email is sanity. And we totally believe that, but it has to be done the right way. So what is the next level nurturing all about? So what we like to do at Force with our clients is to have always on campaigns running. We have these journeys set up, the global campaigns that should be delivering a steady stream of new client opportunities into the business. So whatever data set we might be using, and I know different things come into favour and then they come out of it. PitchBook's been used by a lot of businesses, I know in this room, and pretty successfully for some time. ZoomInfo, Cognism, some Bowhurst I've seen working. It's all about getting that data and making sure that we're speaking to it in a relevant way. So where we've seen PitchBook working really well is where a fundraising event has happened, some liquidity event that means obviously they're in a hiring mode. And then what we're doing is building out journeys that drive them to high value content. So it's all about getting that high value content in landing pages, which can be built in the Force 24 platform. Things like the infographics, the salary benchmarking, the video content that really differentiates us as a recruitment business. I know James Delgato is massive on this. And it's getting those journeys built so that we've got every single word right within them, and the content is absolutely key. And a lot of automation companies don't talk about the importance of getting this messaging absolutely spot on. But these are some of the journeys that, it's like a framework for a journey that we see working, where we have that communication one, where we've got that intro to the recruitment business, the points of differentiation. The next one where we're really delving into some social proofing and a business we've helped in a similar sector and the ROI that they've achieved. Then again, can we introduce one of the consultants to help with that decision making? What is the fear of missing out? If we don't start building that talent pipeline, for example, then bring it together in a logical argument. And then final communication in this 6-stage journey would be loss urgency. What could we be missing out? All of these short form bits of comms driving to that landing page where we're getting that form capture and we're showing that high value content. And as James Delgato says, to reference him again, it's all about having that nose punching content. How do we really cut through and differentiate ourselves? And for every single sentence we're thinking, can we apply so what to that? What is the so what that's going to help us to cut through? So what we want to do is move away from comms, and there's still a lot of this going on in the recruitment sector, and we see it all the time, and we obviously like it when we see it, and a lot of businesses still using things like MailChimp and doing batch and blast, where they're mailing the same thing to their whole universe, and then they'll wait a week and a half later and go, oh, we've got something interesting to say. We'll mail that to the whole lot, and then a week later, we'll mail that. So we really want to move away from that type of batch and blast to something more like this. And this is where we're segmenting based on engagement. This is the key thing to improve the deliverability and get better results from our email marketing, where we're looking at our segments and based on how they're performing, the frequency, the cadence is dictated by the engagement. So where we've got a segment that we've seen that level of engagement, we can then up the frequency of those communications and move them along that buying cycle. An example would be, my interest group. I love red wine. I'm a big Naked Wines fan. When those batches of wine and my favourite producers are coming out, you can email me really frequently leading up to that. Someone that doesn't have that interest, obviously you're not going to be able to get that same engagement. So it's all about seeing that engagement, seeing that lead score, and then increasing the frequency. And then being ruthless about stripping out data. And I know Gigi touched on it earlier, and I know it's been a concern. How do we get into inboxes? It's getting harder and harder and harder. And basically, we've got to be absolutely ruthless about pulling out data that isn't performing. And Microsoft recommend that we should be stripping out data after 14 days, try 3 times a week for 14 days and then pull it out. Now, we feel that's a little bit too aggressive, but it's not a million miles away from what we should be doing. If we're including data that hasn't responded time and time again, 12 months down the line, that is affecting our deliverability in a big way. So that, with a segment like when we're going after lapsed clients...
Question.
Yeah, please do.
Because 3 times a week, I still think that's quite slow, but I'm at the end of the spectrum on that one. With...
it's the pulling out of data that we don't like. After 14 days, stripping it out. We want to give the data more chance. Yeah.
Same page. When you talk about deliverability, once you've actually warmed up your domain, once you're hitting these people, is there any reason to actually strip out that data at all, ever? Because it might be you hit the right person on the right day when they've triggered a new round of funding, or something's happening. Why would you ever take that data out when you've actually paid to acquire it?
Well, if they're not responding after a period, it could be 6 months where you've consistently.
Well, why would you ever take it out?
Well, if you're not seeing opens, if you're. No, absolutely. This is important. Yeah.
If you're hitting that data, I don't think it does diminish your deliverability. They've got an option to unsubscribe if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Why would it damage your deliverability?
Well, what the ISPs are looking at is engagement generally across all your sending. So it's like looking at a send score. So if you're sending stuff, ultimately what the ISPs want is the experience for their customers within their inbox to be receiving everything that they're expecting and everything that they want. We're obviously disrupting that. We're taking data from, might be PitchBook. They've never heard of us as a recruitment business. So we're trying to cut through. Now, if we haven't managed to do that after a period and they're not engaged, our send score is really, really low. So that's going to affect our inbox placement. So we've got to be, that's why we've got to be pretty ruthless about pulling out those that aren't engaged. As soon as they start engaging with us, that's when we're moving into these segments and we can be much more frequent in the comms. So I think one thing that we need to be doing as well is using data sets like Unbounce, like Spark Post, where they've got known data of spurious email addresses and known spam traps. And when we're buying from PitchBook and those sort of businesses, we shouldn't have spam traps in there. But there will be some poor data, and that is costing us massively on our deliverability. With something like Unbounce, it's pretty low cost. You pull that out, so you've given yourself the best opportunity, and then it's about the content must be super relevant, super relevant. We know that, personalised, and then if it's not performing, we pull it out.
I might jump in early because you're just going to talk about the rich landing pages you can produce that the likes of Sourcewell can't. So I'll shut up.
A bit about what, sorry?
But Sourcewell can't have landing pages with video.
Yeah, so I haven't actually got a slide on that, but I sort of touched on that. Within the Force24 platform, you can build out personalised landing pages that hang off a subdomain of your site, all built within the platform, and we can embed video content into that. So like I mentioned, it's the place where we put our high-value content, those videos that show our differentiation around our sector experience, the links to the infographics, the salary benchmarking, that type stuff, all with, sometimes with gated form capture, sometimes without. All of that can be done within the Force24 platform, and that's the key to it.
Force24, be able to do that. Because the quality of outbound then looks so much, you're raising the value of the brand, that actually, even if they're looking at recruitment, you're giving them really interesting data and it gets mentioned around the business.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. And that response rate, it must be joined up from that campaign. If we've got a big sort of discrepancy from the email campaign going straight to homepage, or that you just get massive fallout. We like to have these personalised landing pages, but when they move around your site, we track all of that activity and we put a lead score against it. So even if we haven't got that form capture, we're seeing their level of engagement when they get to a certain lead score, pass into Vincherry or Mercury or whatever CRM your guys are using for follow-up, and then they can see, all right, well, they've engaged with that content, they haven't engaged with that content, they've been on all these pages on our website, they've looked at this case study, so you're armed to the teeth with information to have a better call. Has anyone got any more questions on that? As I sense that this is a really important issue for people. Yeah.
We used to be a Force24 customer, so we come back.
Oh, you used to be?
Used to be. One of the things that frustrated me was that it felt like you were getting inaccurate engagement. So you were seeing, you were looking at an email lead score going, oh, brilliant, that's 10 people in that company have opened it and clicked and literally done everything you want to do. It looks like it was maybe the server was just automating every action. How do you stop that happening?
Yeah, I mean, the odd one, spam checkers will be looking at emails and they'll be registering scores. We try to pull those out. Our algorithms try to spot those that aren't genuine web activity. I think we're probably in a better place with that now than we were 18 months ago. And also within our scores, there are two scores. So you have IP tracking and you have the web activity. So where we have a known email address, that's where we can score web activity because we've placed a cookie. But we're also looking at IP tracking, and that's the more anonymous visitors. So we'll see web activity at a business, but we won't know who those individuals are, but it will pull up the lead score of those that we've tracked cookies on, if that makes sense. Probably not the best way of explaining that, but yeah. Anyone else on that? Does that answer your question?
How, just as an end user, how much kind of just sits within the workflow and it's just BAU, or just going about my day within the CRM, or would I need to actually manage within the Force24 platform?
So, from a consultant perspective, they shouldn't need to go into the Force24 platform. It's more, the most important bit of it is the new opportunities that come through into the consultants' world, where they've hit that lead score. We create contact at a company that will already be in there within Vincherry. The consultant gets the notification to say, right, we've got an opportunity here. They've triggered this lead score. We then provide a screenshot of what has engaged that individual, what hasn't, and then they can have that conversation.
I think best practice is that this doesn't belong on desk. So this is driven by marketing or BD. Then all the leads go to BD or quality assurance to do a filtration before it goes anywhere near desk heads or billing managers to distribute. The minute you put it on desk, it loses all of its value.
Yeah, so lead score is a combination of activity to the email. So opening of emails only scores a point. a click through to the website, and then for every page they look at on that site, we score that 5 points a page. You might have a high value landing page where it might be speak to one of our consultants where they're showing a higher level of intent, you will score that higher. So then we will set a benchmark with you saying 40, typically 40, 50 points is a good level of engagement. Pass that into the consultants for follow-up. Depending on how busy they are, you might set it lower, you might set it slightly higher, but there'll be different levels of engagement there. So yeah, I mean, I've touched on this around the cadence versus spamming. I think it's pretty obvious. We all know that spamming isn't the way, but it's all about that increasing frequency based on engagement. So this was kind of where segmentation was. Yesterday, a few years ago, we sort of really focused on this. Just segmenting by industry, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. But where we've really moved to is what we call 3D segmentation, where we're segmenting by our subsectors. A lot of you will be focused on one particular sector. So what are those subsectors within? I know a lot of tech recruiters in the Pirates. So segmenting by those subsectors: SaaS, FinTech, RegTech, EdTech, whatever tech. But then what we're doing, we're looking at that engagement level. So this could be where you've first of all sent that pitch book data, you've had an open. But then we've done a retargeting campaign and we've got them interested in a webinar that we're doing. And then we've got them opening an email to speak to one of our consultants, one of the guys in the team. So then we're segmenting by that engagement, and then we can move them up. And the way we look at it, it's like we've got to be speaking to them in a personalised way once they're moving along that customer life cycle. The analogy I give, it's like coming into the restaurant and going, right, okay, I'd like a table, please. You speak to the waiter. And then what you're expecting is the menu and then the wine list, and it all has a right order to it. But what we often do with email, we send the same thing, and they've moved along the buying cycle, they're sat down, and the waiter goes, would you like a table? And you're already sat down. It's a bit of a strange analogy, but it's that sort of thing that we've got to be seeing how they're engaging, what are they looking at, so that we're starting to personalise those comms before the consultants can get on there and have really good conversations. So yeah, typical ecosystem, there's MarTech ecosystem. So obviously the vanity of LinkedIn, the importance of email, the data feeds that we've talked about. I won't go into all the bits of tech around improving efficiencies of consultants, not at all. But where we really see it going is social advocacy really becoming widespread across recruitment businesses. The Pages of this world, so Ampli type tools, LinkedIn automation just being used by everyone, and the CRMs will be building in LinkedIn automations. The Dripifies of this world, I know a lot of you are using them already. I really see sales enablement tools, the big guys like SalesLoft and Outreach really coming into the sector and building out tailored cadences for recruiters. I think that's inevitable. I think that website personalisation will become a thing. I don't think it's a sector it's super important, but lightweight personalisation from the likes of Webio will certainly become important. And then it's that use of AI, of course. Who's using ChatGPT at the moment? It is incredible. I mean, I'm writing the board report on it. We're just putting in information on board reports over the last 3 months and putting the data in now, and it just spits out a beautiful board report for us. It's like, wow, it's incredible. But the way that I see it, the analogy that I would give, it's a bit like at the moment where, forgive the analogy, I've been watching a lot of Yellowstone, so if you want to go to the shops and you get on a horse, it will get you there quicker, but you've got to groom that horse, you've got to feed it, you've got to water it, you've got to put the hooves on it, you've got to put the saddle on it. There's a lot of work in that prep at the moment, and it's businesses like Force 24 that should be doing the heavy lifting in preparing your data ready for AI so it can spit out the really important information, and that's what we're really focused on in our business, how we really utilise these neural networks to assist in the predictive analytics. So it'll be so simple where we've got all this engagement data into Force, where they say, right, the next business that you should be working with is this, and these are all the reasons why. A lot of that's been done already, but it's only going to get more and more powerful. Any questions on that? I think that's me.
I've got one. Can I just have a show of hands in the room? How many people in the room today genuinely think they've got a handle on their outbound campaigning using forms of automation, best tools, best practice to generate inbound opportunities. So people who think, because I don't make any money off LinkedIn, I make a fortune off email campaigning. So is anybody on that same journey? Okay, but it's just so important that people just think about what you can use these tools for and how it generates revenue. You don't make money specifically from an email, but it gives you a far better chance. If you've only got a limited time to do BD, or your BD champion's got a limited amount of time, by definition they will have, isn't it better that they focus that effort on opportunities where the chances of winning money are significantly higher than just pissing in the wind? So how do we bring more, better, higher quality opportunities into focus so that people go after them, and then we sell services, products and solutions? That's what this toolkit will give you. It's not an alternative. You don't sit there and I'm going to spend 30 grand a year on marketing and wait for the phone to ring. It's that, it just gives you better data then to absolutely hit, and your rate of return goes through the roof.
So from the point that you implement that to when you actually see, it sounds like it's quite detailed to actually see things actually come back from it and then build it.
Yeah, I mean, you should be up and running within 2 to 3 weeks, 3 to 4, let's be serious about it, of having automated campaigns built. We have to work on the integration with whatever CRM partner you've got, and being on Vincere marketplaces it makes it super simple for us now. So agreeing that data flow, what we want to be seeing in your instance of CRM, what you want to be passing back to Force 24, is a 3-4 week period, but you should be up and running with campaigns, delivering results from that period.
Can I add some colours to that? Barely at the start, 20 times the message. So if you think about, we once told RDLC members that if you phone this number with PwC, they will help you get free money back from R&D tax credits. Nobody did it. Wayne did it, got 60 grand, everybody did it, and then suddenly the government's actually closed the loophole, so nobody got the money. Right? We were telling you there's free money at the end of that phone, and we couldn't get people to do it. You're asking customers to think about how marketing actually works. You're asking a customer to change part of their supply chain. Now, whether their current method of hiring works or doesn't work, they're comfortable with it, and by definition, people don't like change, and what's the fucking point? So how compelling can you be to get them to merit talking to you about actually them taking on a piece of work? It's got to be strong. You've got to say it 20 times before you're going to get any reasonable, meaningful traction. But then if you back that up with your LinkedIn profile and you're talking about doing something different, stop putting jobs on LinkedIn. Pointless, don't get any return from it. Start talking about projects and outcomes that you've delivered, things that are special about your business, what you've done for people, and put that as your narrative, and then put these campaigns behind it to say, we can change your life, we can save you $500,000, we can do these things for you, and then they might be bothered or asked to pick up the phone. Unless you're Zoe, and she's one of the first, because you break all these rules and you're not allowed to talk today. But and congratulations on being one of the most influential people in, birds in shipping. Well, there's only 6 and she's one of them, well done. But if she puts a post out on LinkedIn, then you get loads of inbound business. Very random, doesn't happen with anywhere else. So we have to think about what it is that we do to get this message right. The very long answer to your question, within 6 months, you should be getting a decent rate of return as long as your BD function can match that in terms of inbound. Take every one of those opportunities and absolutely crush it. Mm-hmm. If you give it to desk, they're still going to say, well, I'm just spicking CVs. We're all doomed. Doomed, I tell you.
Gary's absolutely right. It's about having that really good content behind you. And if that isn't there, then it's really hard to cut through.
And you create that now?
No.
But hands up here, who went into their best customer, who's got the biggest opportunity in the world, and they take a trainee marketing person and ask them what to say next? Right? No. Or was your best salesperson, people who owns the business, knows what to say, tells that person what to say next? I know sorry, I saw your hand up as a marketing person for Morpheus. Awkward. But it's always about you define your message and they facilitate it.
But isn't the part of this process as well, though? It's iterative process, right? So it's A/B testing. So you can have the best content in the world, but it might not be hitting the right mark at that point in time, and you're reading
how that reaction in your point scoring, so that you can change it. Sometimes it's just changing words, tonality. It doesn't have to be a total change of your content.
No, absolutely right, Dean. Yeah. So where we support, we make sure that the strategy is right and the journey hits all the right notes and it's best practice. And the thing is, with all marketing, it works beautifully until it doesn't. You know, and we've always got to be making those iterative changes to keep that consistent performance. We can have our global campaigns, and we've got to make sure that we're getting those feeds in. But that messaging, we must be tweaking. Because our audience are going to obviously get bored with the same message, so it's that iterative process. The bit that Force Develop 24 don't do is help you build out that high value content, you know, the videos, the infographics, all that stuff.
Do you analyse the data so it becomes more growth hacking than marketing?
That's a good question. I think we're...
I asked loads of questions and he gets, that's a good question.
I fed you yours. Yeah. Do I see it that with the analytics that we can provide becoming more growth hacking than marketing? I'd absolutely like to think so. Yeah, that through the level of analysis that's available, we're getting insight that can enable us to move the needle faster by, you know, it's those sorts of things we're talking about, targeting those groups that we're seeing engagement and really focusing on it. So yeah, I'd absolutely like to see us that way.